There have been many individuals who have been influential to psychology. Over the next several minutes, I will introduce some of those individuals and some of their contributions to the field. This is the condensed history of psychology in plain English. First is René Descartes. Descartes questioned the interaction of the mind and the body. He developed the idea of dualism, which simply means the mind and the body can influence each other. He also came up with the idea of the reflex action theory, which says that an external stimuli can bring about an involuntary response. Almost everyone has had this theory tested on them when they go to the doctor. Your doctor has you sit on a table and you hang your legs over the end. Then he hits your knee with a little hammer, which is the external stimuli. Your leg then kicks, which is the involuntary response. Next on the list is Franz Joseph Gall. He came up with the idea of phrenology. Gall believed that the size and shape of someone's head determines their intellectual and emotional characteristics. Gall said that you could feel someone's head and then be able to tell things like how good of a friend they would be or how good their memory was. Gall was very well respected until he came up with this theory. Moving on, we have Gustav Fechner. Fechner came up with the idea of absolute threshold, which is the point of sensitivity below which no sensations can be detected and above which no sensations can be experienced. Sounds confusing, right? It's not. Turn on a radio and turn the volume to a medium level. Keep turning it down and see if you can hear it. The lowest level of volume that you can still hear is the absolute threshold. Fechner also came up with differential threshold, which is the point of sensitivity at which the least amount of change in the stimulus gives rise to a change in sensation. Put your hand under the kitchen faucet and turn the water on. Now, very slowly, turn the handle to make the water colder. The first time you notice the temperature changes is a differential threshold. Fechner also studied vision, and during one experiment, stared at the sun through tinted glasses. He found out that this was not the best idea after he went blind. Now we come to Wilhelm Wundt. Wundt is known as the founding father of modern psychology. Wundt's legacy is that he helped make psychology an independent science, and he developed the method of introspection, which is examining your own mind to report on your thoughts and feelings. Need an example? Take Homer Simpson, who likes donuts. Wundt would have asked him to look inside himself to figure out why he felt he needed the donut. Was it a physical need or an emotional need? A lot of psychologists that came later either did or wanted to study with Wundt while he was teaching at Leipzig University. Next is Carl Stumpf. Stumpf is best known for his work with a horse named Clever Hans. Everyone believed that Clever Hans could count and solve math problems, so Stumpf was asked to study him and find out. Turns out that Clever Hans couldn't count, but really could just read people's cues. For example, they would clap when he got close to the right answer. Next up is Sir Francis Galton. Galton wrote a book called Hereditary Genius. He believed that human abilities, like intelligence, were inherited. He said that marriages should be arranged based on intelligence scores. Galton is also credited with being the first person to use questionnaires in research. After that, we have William James. James changed how we looked at emotions. Before his research, it was thought that you experienced an emotion and then you had a physical response. For example, if you see a big dog, first you have an emotion, most likely fear, and then you have a physical response, such as running. James's research changed the order. So, using the same example, first you see a big dog. After that, you have a physical response, which is running, and then you have your emotion, which is fear. Now we come to John B. Watson. Watson was a big promoter of behaviorism. He wrote a book on how to raise children, and one of his ideas was that you shouldn't hug or kiss your children. Watson's ideas must not have worked that well, since 2 of his own kids committed suicide, and the 3rd attempted. Watson is probably best known, though, for the Little Albert study. During this study, Watson proved that you can teach people to be afraid of things. During the research, Watson taught little Albert to be afraid of white, furry objects by using elaborate and loud noises. Next up is Albert Bandura. Bandura is known for the Bobo doll study. During this study, Bandura showed that aggression can be explained by the social learning theory. Basically, it says that people learn through reinforcement and through observation or modeling. Lastly, we come to Sigmund Freud. Freud developed a new concept of the human psyche. He believed that there were three parts: the id, the ego, and the superego, and all three did different things. The id acts as the pleasure principle. It takes care of things like hunger and thirst, and it wants everything right away. The superego wants perfection. It controls our feelings of right and wrong. The ego then acts as a referee for the id and the superego. Freud also came up with the psychosexual stages of development. He thought there were 5 stages that everyone went through in their life. The only way you could be a normal, functioning adult is if you made it through all of the stages without getting fixated or stuck. If you did get stuck in a stage, you would have problems for the remainder of your life. Thank you for watching the condensed history of psychology in plain English.